Students, good morning. This is Somasundari. Today we are discussing about History Unit 1. The topic is Causes and Course of World War I. Before starting the class, I will ask few questions from previous topic. Are you ready? Okay, let's start. Question number 1. Who said imperialism is the highest stage of capitalism? Who said imperialism is the highest stage of capitalism? Answer is Lenin. Question number 2. What were the three major empires shattered by the end of First World War? What were the three major empires shattered by the end of First World War? Answer is Germany, Austria, Hungary and Ottomans. Answer is Germany, Austria, Hungary and Ottomans. Question number 3. In 1894, Japan forced a war on dash. In 1894, Japan forced a war on dash. Answer is China. Question number 4. Chino-Japanese War in dash. Chino-Japanese War in dash. Answer is 1894 to 95. Question number 5. Russo-Japanese War in dash. Russo-Japanese War in dash. Answer is 1904. 1904. I hope you are all got correct answer, isn't it? Yes, well done. Okay, students, now we are going to today's topic, causes of First World War. Causes: European alliances and counter alliances. In 1900, 5 of the European great powers were divided into two armed camps. One camp consisted of the Central Powers, Germany, Austria-Hungary and Italy. Under the guidance of Bismarck, they had formed the Triple Alliance in 1882. When was Triple Alliance formed? Answer is 1882. The understanding was that Germany and Austria would help each other. The other camp consisted of France and Russia. The alliance was formed in 1894 with the promise of mutual help of Germany attacked either of them. An isolated Britain wanted to break her isolation and approached Germany twice but in vain. As Japan was increasingly hostile towards Russia, as France was ally of Russia, it preferred to ally with Britain. The Anglo-Japanese alliance prompted France to seek an alliance with Britain to resolve colonial disputes over Morocco and Egypt. This resulted in the Entente Cordiale. In return for letting the France have a free hand in Morocco, France agreed to recognize the British occupation Egypt. Britain subsequently reached an agreement with Russia over Persia, Afghanistan and Tibet. Thus was formed the Triple Entente to Britain, France and Russia. Violent form of nationalism. The growth of nationalism, the attitude of my country, right or wrong, I support it, developed. The love for one country demanded hatred for another country. England's jingoism, France's chauvinism and Germany's Kultur were militant forms of nationalism, contributing decisively to the outbreak of war.
What caused the devastating First World War? You may be aware of the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. This was, in fact, the trigger which set off the war from a number of underlying causes. These were militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. Militarism created an arms race out of competition and fear of neighbouring nations. Germany tried to compete in a naval race with Britain, building more and more ships. Alliances were created to check the balance of power between nations. In 1882, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy formed the Triple Alliance. France, Britain, and Russia reacted in 1907 by creating the Triple Entente. Imperialism caused another type of competition and disagreement. The British and French empires made Germany jealous as it tried to colonize parts of Africa. Nationalism created the feeling that countries were better than others and promoted the anti-Austro-Hungarian sentiments in Serbia.
Students, now I will give you one important short answer. What were the three militant forms of nationalism in Europe? What were the three militant forms of nationalism in Europe? Answer is England Jingoism, French Zionism, and Germany Kultur. Is important short answer. Keep it in your mind. Okay. Next, aggressive attitude of German Emperor. Emperor Kaiser William II of Germany was ruthlessly assertive and aggressive. The Kaiser proclaimed that Germany would be the leader of the world. The German navy was expanded, the sea being considered a preserve of England ever since Napoleon's defeated Trafalgar. Germany's aggressive diplomacy and rapid building of naval bases convinced Britain that a German navy would be directed only against her. Therefore, Britain embarked on a naval race which heightened the tension between the two powers. Hostility of France towards Germany. France and Germany were old rivals. Bitter memories of defeat of 1871 and loss of Alsace and Lorraine to Germany rankled in the minds of the French. German interference in Morocco added to the bitterness. The British agreement with France over Morocco was not consented by Germany. So Kaiser William II intentionally recognized the independence of the Sultan and demanded an international conference to decide on the future of Morocco. Next, imperial power politics in the Balkans. The Young Turk Revolution of 1908, an attempt at creating a strong and modern government in Turkey, provided both Austria and Russia with the opportunity to resume their activities in the Balkans. Austria and Russia met and agreed that Austria should annex Bosnia and Herzegovina, while Russia should have freedom to move her warships through the Donbass and the Bosphorus to the Mediterranean. Soon after this, Austria announced the annexation of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Austria's action aroused intense opposition from Serbia. Germany gave Austria firm support. Germany went to the extent of promising that if Austria invaded Serbia and in consequence Russia helped Serbia, Germany would come to Austria's assistance. The enmity between Austria and Serbia led to the outbreak of World War in 1914. Next, the Balkan Wars. Turkey was a powerful country in the southwest of Europe in the first half of 18th century. The Ottoman Empire extended over the Balkans and across Hungary to Poland. The empire contained many non-Turks people in the Balkans. Both Turks and their subjects of different nationalities in the Balkans indulged in the most frightful mercies and atrocities. The American genocide is a frightful example, taking advantage of the political and economical instability of the Turks empire from the second half of 18th century. Greeks, followed by the others, began to cede one after another from Turks' control. Macedonia had a mixed population. There were rivalries among Greece, Serbia, Bulgaria, and later Montenegro for the control of it. In March 1912, they formed the Balkan League. The league attacked the defeat Turkish forces in the First Balkan War. According to the Treaty of London, signed in May 1913, the new state of Albania was created and the other Balkan states divided up Macedonia between them. Turkey was reduced to the area around Constantinople. The division of Macedonia, however, did not satisfy Bulgaria. Bulgaria attacked Serbia and Greece, but Bulgaria was easily defeated. The Second Balkan War ended with signing of the Treaty of Bucharest. Next, immediate cause. The climax of these events of the Balkan occurred in Sarajevo in Bosnia. On 28th June 1914, the Archduke Franz Ferdinand Nepomuk and heir to Franz Joseph, Emperor of Austria-Hungary, was assassinated by Princip a Bosnia Serb. Austria saw in this an opportunity to eliminate Serbia as an independent state. Germany thought that it should be strike first. It declared war on Russia on August 1st. Germany had no quarrel with France, but because of the Franco-Russian alliance, the German army, which was planning a war against both France and Russia, wanted to use the occasion to its advantage. The German violation of Belgian neutrality forced Britain to enter the war. In conclusion, the beginning of World War was caused by a series of incidents, and modern-day historians are still arguing some of the topic on what caused the World War I, as some of the things are still unclear. Nationalism, militarism, crisis, alliance system, and imperialism are the essential ideas of what happened. There are still a lot of things we might not have known or haven't been discovered yet. Students, next, course of the war. The two warring camps, Central Powers. The warring nations were divided into two. The Central Powers consisted of Germany, Austria-Hungary, Turkey, and Bulgaria. Italy, which was earlier with Germany and Austria, had left as an attempt to recover Trentino in northeast Italy, where Italians lived in majority but remained as part and parcel of Austria-Hungary, was not supported by Germany. Italy remained a neutral country when the war broke out, but it decided to enter the war hoping to gain the territory in the northeast. Britain, France, and Italy signed the secret Treaty of London in April 1915, by which Italy agreed to enter the war against the Central Powers in return for this territory after the war. Allies. 9 states that opposed the Central Powers were Russia, France, Britain, Italy, the United States, Belgium, Serbia, Romania, and Greece. Romania and Greece declared war on the Central Powers in 1916 and 1917, respectively, but played little part in the war. Most Americans wanted their country to remain neutral, and so in the first 3 years, the United States gave only moral support and valuable material aid to Britain and France. Tsar's abortive attempts for peace. Tsar Nicholas II of Russia suggested to the powers that they meet together to bring about an era of universal peace. In response, 2 peace conferences were held at The Hague in Holland in 1899 and 1907, but in vain. Russia fought on the side of the Allies. War on Western Front. Germany steamrolled and smashed the resistance of the people of Belgium. On the side of the Allies, the burden of the fighting fell on the French army. Within a month Paris seemed almost doomed. Battle of Tannenberg and Marne. Meanwhile, Russian forces invaded East Prussia. Germany defeated them decisively. In the Battle of Tannenberg, Russia suffered heavy losses, yet this caused a distraction and helped to relieve the pressure on the Western Front. The French army made all-out effort to drive away the invading Germans. At the Battle of Marne, the French succeeded in pushing back the Germans. Paris was thus saved. The Battle of Marne is memorable for trench warfare. Children, now I will give you one important short answer. What do you know of trench warfare? What do you know of trench warfare? The trench warfare. Trenches are ditches dug by troops enable soldiers to safely stand and protect themselves from enemy fire. The typical trench system in World War consisted of 2 or 4 trench lines running parallel to each other. Each trench was dug in type of zigzag, so that no enemy standing at one end would fire for more than a few yards down its length. The main lines of trenches were connected to each other and to the rear by a series of linking trenches through which food, ammunition, fresh troops, mail, and orders were delivered. The sheer quantity of bullets and shells flying through the air in the battle conditions of First World War compelled soldiers to burrow into the soil to obtain shelter and survive. Battle of Verdun. Between February and July 1916, the Germans attacked Verdun, the famous fortress in the French line. In the 5-month Battle of Verdun, 2 million men took part and half of them were killed. British offensive against Germans occurred near the river Somme. In this 4-month Battle of Somme, Britain lost 20,000 men on the first day. The Battle of Verdun, however, decided the fairness of the war and the favour of the Allies. Next, war in Eastern or Russian front. In the Eastern Front, Russian troops repeatedly defeated the Austrians, but the Russians were in turn defeated by the Germans. Russia had the worst trained and equipped army, and therefore Russian losses were the greatest. In 1917, the Tsarist regime in Russia was overthrown in a revolution. Russia wanted to peace, and consequently it signed the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk with Germany. After this, the position of Germany became strong. It appeared as its allies were going to lose. However, USA came to their rescue and played the final decisive role in crushing Germany. Minor theatres of war in the Middle East. Turkey also fought on the side of the Central Powers, though Turkey met with initial success and the allies suffered reverses, particularly in Mesopotamia and Gallipoli. Ultimately, Turkey was defeated. The Turks tried to attack Suez Canal but were repulsed. Britain attacked Turkey in Iraq and later the Palestine and Syria. In Arabia, taking advantage of the growing Arab nationalism, a revolt was engineered by a British agent. Britain attacked Turkey directly and tried to capture Constantinople, but the Turks put up the brave fight. In the Far East, China also joined the allies. Japan was able to capture the province of Kichau given by the Germans to China in the province of Shantung. There was no war in the Far East. Japan made use of occasion to threaten China into ceding valuable concessions and privileges. In the Balkans, the Austro-German army, in coordination with Bulgaria, crushed Serbia. Serbia came to under the German rule. Romania watched the course of the war and August 1916 joined the Allies. Romania also passed under Austro-German occupation. Fate of colonies of Germany in Africa. The German colonies in Western and Eastern Africa were also attacked by the Allies. As these colonies were quite far from Germany, they could not receive any immediate help and therefore surrendered to the Allies. Italy falls to Austrian onslaught. Italy formally joined alliance in the war in May 1916. Italians were fighting with the Austrians and continued to sustain their resistance. But when the Germans came to Austria's help, the Italians collapsed. Central Powers victories. The Central Powers successfully occupied Belgium and part of France in the north, east, Poland, Serbia and Romania. The epicenter of the struggle was the Western Front and the seas. As allies controlled by the sea routes, they cut off the supply of food and other material reaching the Central Powers. In Germany and Austria, women and children suffered from hunger and privation. Germany attacked England by air. Bombs were thrown on London and places where there were major factories. Later, aeroplanes were used to targeting civilian population. The Germans introduced poison gas and soon both sides resorted to its use. Next, the naval battle and America's entry into the war. In 1916, a naval Battle of Jutland, had taken place in the North Sea. The British won the battle. Therefore, Germany started a submarine warfare and the cruisers went roaming about, interfering with the shipping of the Allies. One of these was the famous Emden, which bombed Madras. As a countermeasure to the blockade, the Germans proclaimed in January 1917 that they would sink even neutral ships in certain waters. This means that all ships in British waters, whether owned by countries involved in the war or not, would be targets of German submarines. Lusitania, the American ship, was thwarted by the German submarine. There was a lot of resentment in the USA. The President Wilson declared war against Germany on April 1917. America's entry with the enormous resources made a light victory for foregone conclusion. Students, now we are going to end of this session. I hope you are all understanding today's topic, isn't it? Well done. Revise properly. Read the topic 2 times. Okay. Tomorrow I will ask few questions from today's topic. So revise properly. Thank you children. See you next class.